In the world of high strangeness encounters, three names keep rising to the surface again and again: Sasquatch, the Dogman, and the Werewolf. Some who have spent years in the field, including individuals with military backgrounds, refer to them simply as the Big Three. They are not the same creature under different labels. According to those who claim direct experience, each has its own physical traits, behaviors, levels of aggression, and ways of moving through the landscape. Sasquatch Bigfoot. This is the one most people picture first: a massive, upright, hair-covered hominid. Average reported height for mature males runs from roughly 8.5 to 12 feet, with weights commonly placed between 600 and 1,100 pounds or more. The body is heavily muscled, the arms long, the head often described as conical or rounded with no prominent ears. Fur color varies: brown, black, reddish, gray. They walk upright most of the time, but can drop to all fours when needed. Their movement is usually described as smooth and powerful rather than jerky. Vocalizations include wood knocks, whoops, and deep screams. Behaviorally, they are the least aggressive of the three toward humans. Most encounters involve curiosity, observation from a distance, or avoidance. Aggression typically appears only when they are startled, when young are present, or when someone deliberately invades their space. They are omnivorous. Berries, plants, and meat all appear in reports. Family groups or small pods are sometimes mentioned. A veteran who served in a combat engineer battalion described a training exercise in the dense forests of the Pacific Northwest in the early 1990s. While setting high explosives with three other soldiers, the group spotted three large figures watching them from a distance. The beings stood 7 to 9 feet tall, human-like in build, with long arms that looked disproportionate to a human frame and bodies covered in dark hair. The faces appeared more human than animal. The creatures simply observed for about 25 seconds before melting back into the timber. The soldier later said those few seconds permanently altered how he viewed the woods. No charge, no vocalization, just quiet, deliberate watching. Another military account comes from a restricted training area. 3 personnel moving through the woods at night watched 2 large trees bend toward each other roughly 20 to 30 feet off the ground. Looking up, they saw a massive, reddish-brown, hair-covered figure pulling the trees together with obvious strength. When the group fled, they heard heavy crashing and rapid pursuit behind them for nearly half a minute before the sound stopped. The figure never showed itself fully again, but the strength and size left no doubt in their minds. The Dogman. This is the bipedal canine most often reported in modern encounters. Mature males are generally described as 7.5 to 8 feet tall and 350 to 500 pounds. The head is distinctly dog or wolf-like, with a long snout, pointed ears set high on the head, and often a mane or thicker fur around the neck. The legs are digitigrade, animal style, with the heel elevated, giving them a distinctive, predatory gait. Many reports note a lean, muscular, almost ripped build. A tail is frequently mentioned. They move with speed and purpose, often dropping to all fours for rapid travel. Witnesses repeatedly describe them as the most aggressive of the Big Three toward humans. Stalking, intimidation, growling, standing their ground, and direct confrontation appear far more often than simple avoidance. Some accounts place them near rural roads, homes, or graveyards. They are primarily meat-eaters and are frequently linked to livestock or pet losses. A man driving a rural back road at night with a family member suddenly saw a large, dark, furry figure running on all fours along the shoulder. The movement was described as awkward and lumbering rather than fluid. As the vehicle passed, the creature rose onto its hind legs in one smooth motion, turned its upper body, and locked eyes with the people inside the cab from only a few feet away. Both witnesses described an immediate sense of intelligence and malice, the feeling that they were not supposed to have seen it. The driver accelerated hard and later said he would have spun the vehicle around at any dead end rather than risk stopping. In another case, a homeowner investigating movement in a cornfield late at night hit the area with a flashlight. A figure roughly 7 to 8 feet tall stood up from a crouch. It had pointed ears like a German shepherd, amber eye shine, and broad shoulders. The family dog immediately panicked and clawed at the front door, trying to get inside. The creature remained nonchalant at first, more focused on the dog than the people, until the light held on its face. It never charged, but the deliberate stare and the dog's reaction left the witness certain it was not a normal animal. The werewolf. Distinct from both the dogman and classic folklore shapeshifters, the werewolf in these field accounts is described as a permanent, bipedal form rather than a human who transforms. Reported height for mature males runs from about 7 feet 10 inches up to 9 feet. The body is heavily muscled and humanoid in proportion, human-like arms and legs rather than the digitigrade structure of the dogman. The face is flatter than a dogman's, more humanoid in structure, but still distinctly wolf-like, with large teeth. Ears are present, but positioned more to the side of the head. No tail is usually reported. Fur is thick, and the overall impression is of raw power. They are almost exclusively meat-eaters. Aggression toward humans is present but ranked lower than the dogman in many accounts, more territorial or opportunistic than the relentless predatory drive attributed to dogmen. When they do engage, the strength and bite force described are extreme. Some reports place them as more solitary or in very small groups. A driver traveling a remote stretch of road after dark saw a large figure standing upright in the middle of the pavement. The creature was estimated at 6.5 to 7 feet tall, heavy across the shoulders and chest, with a wolf's head set on a thick, human-like neck. When the headlights hit it, the figure turned and looked directly at the vehicle. The face was pure wolf, muzzle, ears, skull shape, but the posture was completely vertical, the way a person stands. After 2 seconds it stepped off the road and disappeared into the trees. The witness emphasized that the neck and body structure looked nothing like a dogman's digitigrade build. Another account describes a couple whose vehicle stalled on a rural road. A large, dark form crossed behind them on all fours with a strange, swaggering shoulder motion. When the creature rose onto 2 legs and took several powerful steps toward the car, both occupants began screaming. It then dropped back to all fours, gained speed, and finally broke off the pursuit, returning to the forest. The witnesses described it as a mammoth of an animal, whose upper body remained upright and powerful even while moving on 4 limbs. Field accounts suggest the 3 do not share territory easily. Sasquatch and dogman are frequently described as hostile to each other. When the 2 meet, conflict is expected. A Sasquatch will often try to drive a dogman out of an area by force or intimidation. Werewolves appear more able to pass through Sasquatch territory if they keep moving and take only what they need. Prolonged presence, however, can still trigger confrontation. Dogmen are the most likely to seek out or escalate conflict with the other. On a simple 1 to 10 scale of aggression toward humans, dogman frequently ranked at or near 10. Werewolf, lower, often around 3 in comparative. Sasquatch, the lowest of the 3 unless provoked. These rankings come from people who claim repeated exposure and who treat the 3 as separate biological, or at least physical, entities rather than supernatural shapeshifters. The big 3 are not interchangeable labels. 1 is a massive humanoid giant-like being that mostly wants to be left alone. 1 is a bipedal canine predator that often does not. 1 is a powerfully built, more humanoid wolf-like form that sits somewhere between the other 2 in temperament. Whether they are undiscovered animals, something more exotic, or travel through dimensions, or a mix of the 3, the consistent pattern in serious reports is that they are distinct. Treating them as the same creature under different names only muddies the picture. When someone says they encountered the big 3, they are usually pointing to this separation, 3 different things walking the same woods, each with its own rules.